Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the music. Welcome to the pre-show. Greg Tilston, how are you?
Good, you?
I'm well, thanks. So we both went to Welcome to the Music shows this over the past few days.
Yes.
You went out to the what do they call it? The Vault now? Scotiabank Arena. Who'd you see there?
So Death Cab for Cutie and Postal Service.
All right.
And it was a fantastic show.
Nice.
And we went courtesy of Indy 88. So thank you to Indy 88 for the tickets.
All right. Our newest sponsor.
It's just
So thank you. Thank you to them. Thank you to the Campari group.
I actually should have been wearing the shirt today if I thought about that.
You should have. You should have, but you're wearing your Campari swag
And my Big Sugar
today and your Big Sugar t-shirt. Great show. Fantastic show.
It was. Yeah. And you went to a show in the Hammer.
In the Hammer. Saw Beautiful Scars. Based on the life of a former two-time past guest, Tom Wilson.
Yes.
And happened to meet Tom. Didn't think he'd be showing up because he'd been to the premiere of the show and stuff. But it was a pleasure meeting him. He is so charismatic. He is so he just makes you feel so good when you speak with him.
That's cool.
But it was a great. Greg, you and Kel need to go see this show. It is playing at the Aquarius Theater in Hamilton. It's on a limited run. I don't know when it finishes, but it's currently on. This might be the last week that it's playing. But anyone who is in and around Hamilton, anywhere around the area, go and see this musical. It is fantastic. What can I say about it? So first off, the theater, Aquarius Theater, is an amazing theater. It's not massive. It's not tiny. It is a great size. Every seat in the theater is a great seat. Even if you're sitting in the middle behind, if it's a full house, no one is in your way. You can see everything. The sound is phenomenal. The music in this musical is outstanding. And it is just a wonderful story. It's not a word for word of his book, Beautiful Scars, but it is just an amazing story. And if you don't know the story of Tom Wilson, lead singer of Junkhouse, member of Blackie and the Rodeo Kings, you need to
multidiscipline artist.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Get a hold of his book, Beautiful Scars. Read it. It is well worth reading. It is entertaining. It is insightful. It's a story about it's a rock and roll story about discovery on another level. And the music was just amazing. Just a great show. All around great show. It was worth me fighting traffic after work on a Friday to go and see it.
Awesome.
And he has an art installation as well on the second floor, which Manaz and I went to see after the show. And as we're coming down, some of the actors were hanging out downstairs, and we walked down, and I hear this thundering deep voice. And I look towards it, and I can only see his back, but the long hair, and I go, that has to be Tom. That voice is no one else's voice. And it's like I go around, and it is him. I go, Minaz, get a Sharpie, get your camera. We need to chat with him. So so spend some time chatting with him. So that was phenomenal.
What up? This is your bro Danny O, the Vigilante. Brand new album, Vigilante, out now, baby. Welcome to the music.
welcome, Daniel. It's a pleasure and honor to have you on the show with us. I really want to, as a former musician myself, like, man, I hear so many like styles and genres mixed into your sound, and that like what I'd love to know is kick it off, start with sort of your upbringing and your influences, and what helped shape that sound in your that.
Sure, man. Absolutely. I mean, right before we started the show here, I was commenting on your vinyl shelf back there and the vinyl shelf behind me and how similar or dissimilar it is given what we've stocked. But that's where it started, with vinyl in the house, man. I grew up falling in love with records. It's kind of weird. I didn't become a DJ because I just love spinning vinyl, and I would take my parents' vinyl and play it. I had kids' records, Disney records, Raffi, Sharon Lois and Bram, like, the Canadian children artists greats. But I really got enthralled by what was in my parents' collection. And so, just as an example, Bob Marley and the Wailers album Uprising, which was his second last, was something that I was spinning in the house. Behind me is now the entire Bob Marley and the Wailers vinyl collection. For me, it also became Michael Jackson's Thriller. When it was released, I was 5. And for me, it was my first like big people record. I had like the kid records, like I told you, but I asked for Thriller. I can't remember if it was a Christmas present, birthday, whatever it was. I wanted my copy. I didn't want to play mom and dad's records. Like I needed.
Oh, you had your own.
Yes, that was my first, like, to my recollection, first, big people's record. And dude, I must own 3 or 4 of it on vinyl, CD, cassette, like every medium possible. I own that record, and I wanted to be Michael Jackson. So at 5, I knew what I wanted to do with my life was to be a musician, was to be an entertainer.
Wow.
At 10, I discovered hip hop and realized, okay, I think this is more for me than the singing and dancing. I'm not exactly following exactly in Mike's footsteps, but knew that music was for me. And so, listening to music in the house and playing records as a kid is what started it. It was all about Thriller for me until I discovered hip hop at 10. And that's how it all started.
What song was it that piqued your curiosity? Do you remember what you heard? Was it on the radio?
You talking about
rap,
my discovery of hip hop?
Yeah.
It wasn't one song, it was an album. And I'll tell you exactly what went down. I was on a grade 4 camping trip. This was a school trip. And it was like I said, it was a camping trip with like grades 4s and 5s. And we were in different cabins. For some reason, the teachers decided to keep all of the children's medication in one cabin, as opposed to the specific cabins where the kids were. I had an asthma attack. Asthma used to get at me back then. And especially being around nature, trees, all that stuff. So I was coughing up a storm one night. My entire cabin was kept awake because of me. My teacher had to send a student to go to whatever cabin my inhaler was in. So I was coughing forever and keeping everybody up. They finally come back with the inhaler. I take it, can breathe again. I stop coughing, but everyone's awake. And my teacher, Mr. Nash, shouts to him wherever in the world he may or may not be. I credit him for deciding to play music to, quote, calm us down. I remember that was it. He wanted to calm down everybody. We all need to get to bed. I'm going to put on some music. Everyone stay in their beds. And he chose the Beastie Boys' License to Ill.
To calm people down.
I don't know how that was supposed to calm down a group of grade 4 boys.
Fight.
That's exactly right. And I heard that shit, and it started with what's the first song there? Rhyming and Stealing and the New Style.
Oh my goodness.
And that was it. I heard it and I was like, what is this? I found a way to buy the tape sometime after this trip and almost immediately started trying my hand at writing rhymes. And for the record, before becoming Danny O at age 12, 10-year-old me was MC Rock D. And that was an amalgamation of MCA, Ad Rock, and Mike D. I was MC Rock D. And that is how it started as far as my love for hip hop goes.
Wow.
That's amazing. Amazing.
Man.
Now, I read somewhere you grew up in Scarborough.
Yes, sir.
So is this Camp Kearney you went to?
No, it was called Camp Samak. And to be honest, I'd have to Google it.
You know where that is? Out in the Schwa.
It's in Oshawa.
Okay, see, I didn't even remember that. I don't know why. I should look this up and find out where it is and just visit.
That's the scout camp now.
Is it really? Yeah.
It was back then, too. I mean, they opened it up for other groups to come in, but it's been a scout camp since I was a kid. So, yeah.
That's where it all started, man.
That's hilarious. Oh my! So were you in a Scarborough school back then?
Yeah.
What school did you go to?
At the time, Saint Rene Goupil was the name of the school.
Yeah.
North Scarborough was where I grew up, and then I moved over to Prince of Peace across the street, and that was my elementary school that I graduated from. And really, that's when I really started to get my whole I'm a rapper now life going. Lip sync contests and just rapping at little birthday parties and stuff is how I got going. And before graduating from Prince of Peace as a 13-year-old, I was on Electric Circus rapping at a contest and winning that.
Yeah. So like, how do you, let's get to that. You're 13 years old, you're on Electric Circus.
Yeah.
Like everybody at that age was watching Electric Circus. It was like hilarious how times have changed.
Yeah.
But like how do you even get there as a 13-year-old? Like, where's the audacity that you had to say, yeah I'm there?
Audacity is the right word to use, man, because I wrote a song called Can't Test Me. And I was just in battle mode, trying to be the next Big Daddy Kane, who was my favorite rapper and inspired me. I did my hair like him and the high top cameo. I saw that. Yeah. And I don't know. I think I got the audacity from performing at like these birthday parties, and my brethren Lindo P would be DJing at these parties. He's the one I went on Electric Circus with. I was watching, like you said, I was watching Electric Circus like everybody else on Saturdays. They had a rap-off contest prior to the one that I joined. And I remember the dude who won, named Frank Morrell, shortly thereafter put out a video with a group called Brothers from the Ghetto with Simply Majestic. And I was like, that's the guy who won the contest. So when the second one came around, it was for LL Cool J tickets. The first contest was for MC Hammer tickets. I guess that's why I was like, I didn't sign up. But I said, okay, not only is LL coming, but the last winner put out a video. Like, I think this is it, man, for me. I can do this. So Lindo P and I put together a cassette. All he did was not scratch, but he mixed beats back and forth. I had no beat of my own, never knew what the inside of a studio looked like, no production, just a kid with a friend with a turntable, 2 turntables and a microphone. Mm-hmm. And I suppose I was confident because Lindo P was older than me, credited me as this dope MC who rhymed at all these parties, like, yo, we can do this. So come and record at my house. We did. We submitted the tape. And again, speaking of audacity, I remember I wrote on a piece of paper, this is the winner, trust me. And so it came to be, man.
That is phenomenal.
That's the oldest footage available of me that I'm aware of in existence. It is on YouTube. If you look up Danny-O, Can't Test Me, Partners in Rhyme, Electric Circus. Yeah. Like, unlike my daughter, who has every second of her life recorded, like, I don't have any baby footage. There's some pictures, but I don't know what my voice sounded like, what my mannerisms was as a baby. So 13-year-old me is that's the oldest footage that I'm aware exists of me.
What does your daughter think of 13-year-old dad?
It's interesting, man. To get cool points from Melina, I need her friends. Her friends, when I drop her off at school, will say, hey, I saw your video, or they think I'm cool. And then she'll be like, But she'll more like to tease me and say, oh, my God, Daddy. She'll make fun of my hair or something. But no, she's a super loving kid and is ultra supportive. And I do have an entire album dedicated to her. And she's quite the singer, artist herself. So she's going to be doing way more amazing things than me.
That is phenomenal. And that, like, 1991, what is that, 30, 40?
Correct. Yeah, literally, we just celebrated
30 years ago, like this
33
month.
years ago, bro. And it was this month. It was May 4th. So just recently, I celebrated the anniversary of pretty much how I got my career started 33 years ago.
So, like,
wow.
So you won the contest. You go see LL Cool J.
Yes, sir.
The video, like, was it the video of the performance that they made a tape of, or? Well,
it was live on TV, right? Like Electric Circus was shot live, 3 o'clock or 3:30 p.m. on a Saturday.
It was like afternoon,
It was live, in the afternoon. And I just had a couple of people call me who were in the business, people much more older and experienced than myself. In fact, including the people who had put out that video that I talked about, the Simply Majestic guys. So I thankfully actually didn't put out a video yet because I was super green, man. A kid just learning his way around. Like I said, hadn't even been in a studio yet. So I learned how to write songs, like really the concept of like, counting the bars and writing hooks, performing as well. I had a manager who was a concert promoter. So anyone who came to Toronto around the age of 15, I was opening up for Redman, Pete Rock and Seal
Jeez.
Smooth, House of Pain, Lords of the Underground. And yeah, that's how I really started cutting my teeth. So long before I really got into the studio and started recording, I was performing as much as I could. And still, I was in high school. So I was doing talent shows and winning more contests as a high schooler.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that's how it all went down for me.
That is crazy. So let's get to this album, Vigilante.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What is it? Your sixth?
This is number 6 as a solo artist. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Thank you,
I really like that song, Like We.
Yeah. Thank
great
you.
hook, great video. A lot of shout outs to I guess the legends of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons why that song is such a big deal for me, and I appreciate you saying that because a lot of people seem to love Like We, and I'm proud of it, obviously. Shouts to Blessed, of course, who is on the track with me, incredible Juno award-winning reggae artist, and shouts to Charisma, aka Skids, from my crew Monolith, who produced the track. It is a track kind of, taking aim at people who falsely represent themselves on social media.
Yeah.
And what I think Blessed did, in addition to making such a catchy hook, is he did shout out legends in the game who came up in an era where there was no social media, and to really earn your right as a legend in the game or someone who was making moves, there was a way more groundwork to be done, networking, performing, paying your dues in many different ways to become the legends that they are. And I'm proud to be from that ilk of that generation, because I didn't take anything for granted. I didn't assume that I could write and record a song and upload it within a day. And I still operate with that old school mentality. I focus on a song and try to perfect it before it's recorded. I get it mixed, I get it mastered, I make changes if necessary, and then I give it to the world when it's perfect and not rushed. And again, I think in many ways, social media and just, technology in general gives people the opportunity to consider themselves of a superstar ilk when they just haven't paid the dues of the people that we mentioned in that song. So I think that sometimes hurts the quality of the music, and I think the proof's in the pudding there.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I mean we've discussed this a lot with a number of guests over the years about the impact, particularly our guests who have been in the industry for a fairly long period of time. And it's interesting because some of the people that you expect go, no, I'm not a big fan of it, will go, actually I love it because it just opens it up. Like I remember Lord producer blanking out mind. Anyway, he was talking about, for example, even the Billie Eilish album, right? And he's like, I don't give a shit where it's produced. I don't like, it could be done in their bedroom, their basement, their mom's living room, whatever it happens to be. He goes, it's just a well-produced album.
Right.
So what I wanted to know was maybe less about sort of the again, I was a musician back in the 80s and 90s, and we were riding around Toronto taping and wallpapering posters all over the place kind of thing. So, we didn't have today's social media either, but I'm interested to know how you feel more about how technology has changed to enable the production and the creation of music.
I think in many ways it's been great in that obviously, like, for example, now I'm recording songs with artists I have never met in person. Right. I'm on a record. Shouts to Ranaman. He's an artist from Madrid, Spain. We're on a record together because he's a big, huge fan of hip hop in general. So he put out an album, I think it was a year or two ago, and he has features like Master Ace and Onyx and Keith Murray and artists like that on his album. And what was really incredible about the way he did it is the packaging is like a passport. And when you go through the passport, you see all these artists from across the world, Boston, New York, Madrid, Spain. And then, of course, I represent Toronto. And I think that was his point, is that he wants to be able to expand his reach and work with artists from all over the world. He raps in Spanish. Everyone else raps in English. And technology allowed him to do that because you don't have to be in the same studio. You can utilize, the digital era that we're in to not just record and properly mix these songs, but of course, get it emailed and sent and files sent. So my album also has Master Ace on it. He recorded in New York and sent it my way. My brother Hart from out in Calgary is on the album. He recorded his material and sent it my way. Did an incredible job on the album. My man Quake Matthews from Halifax, same deal. So now location, geography, you take that out of the mix when you're wanting to work with other artists. And I could go on, but I think that's one of the biggest things that I think is a huge plus for technology. The downside, again, is when people get lazy. Right. Yeah. When they just sort of use the technology, say, to correct their voice, but they can't really sing like that, So we have a lot of studio artists that I've bared witness to seeing perform live that just don't sound like their record. So they try to perform over their record. And in many cases, attempt to replicate what they've recorded, but all of the technology that allowed their vocals to sound better than their real voice, changes my overall opinion of the quality of their music. So as with everything, there is good and bad.
Yep. Fair enough.
Daniel, I wanted to ask you this. You've always remained independent?
Yeah.
And is that a choice? Is it like, and you've continued to do so. So you must have figured out a way to make it work for you. I'm wondering if you can chat about that.
For sure. Well, it wasn't a choice until it was. When I was much younger, as we all, kind of coming up in like the 90s and stuff, we all thought that getting signed to a record deal, like that was the ultimate goal of an artist. Getting signed was the whole point. Getting signed. You want to get signed to a major record deal. Until, of course, you go through the ins and outs of working in this game and realizing that it's not all that it's cracked up to be. There's artists who want to get out of their contracts. There's artists who are like pigeonholed into creating a certain sound at the behest of their labels, having projects shelved, like all kinds of like politics and bureaucracy that turn being an artist into something that isn't fun. I guess in a way, I'm basically happy that I was able to avoid that. Without being signed to a recording deal, every record I've ever released has been my own art that I chose to make. Everything from the lyrics that I wrote to the production that I chose to the titles, you name it. It's been a product of me. So I'm glad that I've always had creative control, not to mention ownership over my masters. And I'm able to do, of course, what I want with them, license them as I choose, release them as I wish, etc. So that's why now it's a choice. I'm a man in his 40s who's long past this whole I can't wait to get signed to a record deal thing. It's just not the way that it is. And as we talked about technology and the way that the world has changed, you really no longer need record deals, man. I mean, we have literal worldwide distribution via our streaming platforms and things of that nature. So while I'm still an old school vinyl lover, I get that the technology allows us to put out music and have people consume it without there having to be a record label to necessarily get it into stores or what have you. So, yes, being an independent artist has become a choice because I've literally grown up in an industry where I have had the opportunity to realize just how much freedom I have as an artist to do my thing my way. Are there difficulties? Sure, absolutely. We work with smaller budgets than major labels. There's a lot of things that are challenging in this game. But certainly having creative control and being able to sort of, carve out my own path has been a huge benefit to that. So obviously I wouldn't give it up at this point.
Can you imagine a Drake Kendrick Lamar feud without streaming? Like, what would that look like?
Yeah, that's such an excellent point, bro. That's such an excellent point because you're right. We grew up in an era. I mean, you go as far back as the 80s and how Boogie Down Productions put out The Bridge Is Over after MC Shan put out The Bridge. And that was one of the first battles that I remember being on Wax. To be honest, I'd have to research it. I don't know how long there was in between releases. But to your point, they had to come out on Wax. There had to be a process by which it was mixed, mastered, and manufactured and released and distributed. So you're right. Yeah, this current battle is definitely the product of 2024 digital technology allowing for it and the internet eating it up because that's where we get all the music.
I think it was a Friday or Saturday. My son is talking to us. Papa, do you know about the feud? I go, tell me about it. So he starts telling me about it. And literally he goes, oh my God, Kendrick Lamar just released another one. Like literally. I go, what do you mean? Like just now. And I go, how are you knowing this?
Yeah. That's exactly right. No one had to go to the record store. No one had to turn on the radio and wait for it to be played.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is a different world. And again, that I suppose is one of the positives of our new technology, is that the whole world has heard every one of these battle raps in this current feud, because of the way music is able to be created and disseminated to the public.
That's crazy. Daniel, listen, we're running short. Two last things. We'll quickly wrap it up.
Sure,
We have a segment called Lost Venues.
man.
Wondering if you have a venue in mind, maybe a story behind it, no longer exists.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Spectrum. Do you remember Spectrum? I
Oh
believe it was
yeah.
on Main Street in Toronto. And I was there for so many different parties, but I performed opening up for Lords of the Underground in
Hmm.
1993. So I think I was like 15. Their first album had dropped. And it was one of, not the first, but one of my first experiences, like playing like concert events, small concert venues and stuff. But the story that I want to give you about Spectrum, as it no longer exists, is an event where I didn't perform at, but I was a fan. There was an artist named King Just. I don't know if that rings a bell. He had a song called Warrior's Drum. I don't know that he was affiliated with Wu-Tang, but I think he was from Staten Island and kind of had that affiliation with Wu, or to some degree had that sort of style and energy. And he was performing at Spectrum, or so the promoters said.
Ah.
I'll never forget going to this show, and wasn't really a packed show or anything. And King just had the one song out. Couldn't tell you who opened for him. Don't remember a lot about the show except for when King Just was introduced to the stage. Somebody came on the stage with a hat and a towel underneath the hat to cover his face. And he lip synced King Just's song Warrior's Drum. King Just had not shown up, and the promoters tried to pull a fast one on the audience.
Oh shit.
Pretend that King Just had performed. The people knew, bottles were being thrown, they were booing, all kinds of shit was going down. And I'm a kid, bro. I'm 15, like I said, and I'm experiencing this for the first time and being like, what just happened here? So that's a story that I'll always remember about Spectrum.
That is
That's crazy.
hilarious. Oh
Yeah,
my
it was
goodness.
crazy.
Daniel, before we wrap it up,
Yes, sir.
you so graciously agreed to, uh, yeah, spit off some few bars. I was wondering, what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to even do this, because this will actually be a first for me since the whole promo run for Vigilante. Before I spit, there's something that I want to do, because
Yeah.
I think it's really important. So the Vigilante album, which is available on vinyl and CD, was illustrated by my man Doug Knight of Cross Eye Comics. And although it might be hard to make out now, wherever you get this, you'll be able to take in this album cover. There's a lot of important imagery on it, including the fact that as the Vigilante, I lynched Ku Klux Klansmen in my wake. Vigilante is the most provocative album I've ever recorded. It deals with a lot of society's ills that we've all had to contend with in our own way. That's all impacted our mental health and energy. And one of the, in my opinion, the true heart of the album is a section that deals with gun violence, anti-Black racism, and self-hatred in the Black community. Right in the middle of that course of the album is a song called Turn It Around, where I basically give a bit of a history lesson on anti-Black racism in America. And so the verse I want to spit with you, I almost want to do it spoken word style in a way, because I think it might be the most, I don't know, perhaps deepest verse of my career. I shout out the Public Enemies of the world, who, when I was growing up, were teaching me about a lot of the craziness that was going on that you might not see on the news or hear about, but like now I'm learning about like the incident in Bensonhurst, or Amadou Diallo's shooting, where cops shot him 41 times for pulling out his wallet on his front porch. Like, I learned about that stuff as a kid, listening to groups like Public Enemy, X-Clan, NWA. So this is my contribution to that ilk of hip hop. And the song is called Turn It Around. It features Century, and it gives a little bit of my own personal, it's not my own personal history, but this is my delivering of a piece of history that I think is one of the most powerful verses on the record. So without further ado, November 2, 1920, Ocoee, Florida. A horrid fuss sparked by the white supremacist war with us. Election day, Orange County blacks prepared to vote. Triple K took to the streets equipped with nooses for the throats. Homes burned to the ground, around 50 bodies found. An extermination of blacks to make a sundown town. Community leader July Perry hanged from a light post. His bullet-riddled body was the message left by white folks. 100 years later, George Floyd's twisted neck was the result of disrespect from his 4-pig arrest. So what the fuck do you expect from the black community when centuries of cruelty are responded to with impunity? And scrutiny is also reserved for blacks to preserve the absurd concept that a race gets what it deserves. We're not savages. The history you've been taught created bias. The world's worst atrocities were done to us, not by us. Extreme violence is a white science, and your alliance with your oppressor implies that all of a people should be compliant when injustice occurs, so that our progress is kept stifled, while a white fool with a rifle in a high school is praised like the Bible, but yeah, claim that we wasn't oppressed. White mass murderers eat burgers while our blood is still fresh. These are facts. Don't accuse me of tantrum throwing. If I didn't stand up for my people, I'd hate myself like I was Candace Owens. Turn It Around off the Vigilante album.
Turn It Around on Vigilante, available
Yes.
now. Danny Yo, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people buy the album?
Sure. Well, thank you both. Much love, Karim and Greg, man. I appreciate you guys for offering this opportunity to me. And I think that it's important that you guys get shouted out more often in general, because without you, independent artists like myself don't have the platform we used to coming up, like Much Music and things like that, to really expose what it is we're doing to the world. So thanks to you guys. Vigilante is out now, and it is available. Firstly, you can stream it everywhere. So wherever you stream music, Spotify, Apple Music, etc., it is available. Go check it out. Available in both its raw. Thank you guys for letting me be raw. And its clean forms. I want the kids to be able to check it out. So peep the clean version of Vigilante, should you have little ones who you want to help listen to my music. You can buy the Fire Orange vinyl, as well as CD and the digital download from dannyo.com, spelled dan-e-o.com, just like it says on the screen there, or Urbnet, URBNET. That is the label distributing the album. So whether you go online to dannyo.com or urbnet.com to buy it, and it should be available in stores. I just got wind from Play to Record that it will be there if you're in Toronto. Big shouts to the best record store in the city. So look for it if you don't find it online, but you know where to get it online as well.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Danny, thank you so much. This has been fun.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys once again. Appreciate it.